I had the same problems that everybody else had, we just sort of a lack of clear vision from the top, well, we didn't know who we were and who we served. We had some employees that were sort of 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out, and there was really a lack of discipline, accountability across the board. But despite all of that, Preston had a pretty successful agency.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2020, it was October, I collapsed in my yard and had a massive pulmonary embolism. And, I most people that suffer that don't make it. And I was raced to the hospital. And all I could think about on that drive to the hospital was that, one, I had just lost my father, and now my son was losing his.
Mm.
And two, what kind of mess did I leave them? My wife was going to have to go down to my office. She was going to have to fire all of our team. She was going to lose all of our clients, and she would have locked the door behind me. And that would have been my legacy. That's the mess that I would have left them. That would have been their final memories of me going and cleaning up my messes there. Because I had a job. I didn't have a business.
Right.
I had a business that required me to be there in 100% in the day to day. So really, Preston, that's when I started searching. I knew I had to do something different. I mean, obviously I survived, thank God. Took me 2 or 3 months to sort of recover from that, probably 3 months before I even felt good enough to work again. And but I knew I was on a mission to build something different for my family. I began to try and figure out, how do I systemize and build this business in such a way that I'm not so involved in the day to day. There was something that was more of an asset for my family that I could eventually sell or exit. And if I were to die, I would leave them something. And really, honestly, that's when I found EOS.
That's awesome.
We spent the next couple of years systemizing our business. We grew, we 3x'd our gross revenues, we 7x'd our net profit. And I just sort of, we grew from 10 employees to 27. And I just, more importantly, I guess I took myself out of the day-to-day of operations or running my agency. And I don't know, I guess I just fell in love with EOS. EOS in a lot of ways saved my life. I guess I drank all the EOS Kool-Aid because I loved the process, and I wanted to share it with other agency owners and other business owners just like myself. And so, they could sort of achieve that arc that I did, from, owning a business that was really a job to basically, my business runs itself.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you talked about that. When I had an insurance brokerage, we had Good Vibe Squad, and McBee and I were co-founders of a software company. When we actually did the official launch of the software, I had been grinding. I'd been working my ass off trying to stay afloat, and I too had a pulmonary embolism.
No way.
Yeah. I remember it because I'm literally in the launch, and then the hospital I was in, they were overfilled or whatever, and so they just stuck an IV in me. They put me in a chair in the hallway, and so well, actually, in hindsight, I was a little upset about this because I was used to. I went to the plasma center so much. I was used to they just put a needle in you. When you're doing that. I didn't know IVs could bend, or else I would use both hands. But at the time, I thought I could only use the one arm. So I'm on launch day with my non-dominant hand, trying to still work because it's launch day. You know what I mean? Embolism or not, I got shit to do. And so that was a really interesting experience. It's scary, and I feel like I connect with a lot of what you just mentioned there, and especially the leaving messes behind. It's amazing how that's been kind of a focus of McBee and I, is focusing on, creating a business that's sellable, right? And it's not because we want to sell, but it's it's amazing how many businesses or entrepreneurs build a business that is really an exoskeleton around them, and if something happened to them, the whole thing would implode, right? And so it's amazing how lack of systems, even us, and we grew to about 5 million in revenue this last year, and even with that, you can go to that distance, you can go further than that with very little structure. But like you said, it's a house of cards at a certain extent if you don't start to systematize it and create an infrastructure to where even in your absence things continue. That's been a priority of us over the last year and a half, and it's been huge. I mean, it's weird because it's not necessarily the stuff that drives immediate profit, but it's also the stuff that makes it so the team is more empowered. They're more knowledgeable about what's expected and what's required of them as an individual, but as a part of the team. And it's been a really good process, and like I said, while I don't feel like it's the immediate profit stuff, I feel like we're raising the ceiling, right? Because there's a certain point where it's like you can't go any further and you can't go any faster, right? And you got to change something to be able to unlock new potential. And so that's what a lot of, I mean, EOS is a big part of that, for us, and working with you. That's been really transformative for our agency.
Yeah. So you said that you originally thought about, building a business to sell. I did the same. And so when I had my massive pulmonary embolism, I've got a text from my doctor here. It's really kind of crazy. He said, "Oh my gosh, we almost lost you. That was the largest, scariest blood clot I've ever seen. And had you not come to my office today, you would have died in your sleep tonight." That hits you pretty hard.
Yeah.
And so, I think you panic a little bit and you go, "Man, I've got to change my life. I've got to sell this business." And so I started on a mission to build a business that I could sell. And as I found EOS and I started to build it, and I started to get better team in place and started to get better vision and started to get better things going on the business side, I actually fell in love with it again. It's easy to get burned out in your business when it's tough.
Yeah.
But when things start to come together and your team buys in and you all share the same vision and you're all rowing the same direction, now I don't want to sell the business. Now I have options.
Mm-hmm. That's really powerful. I mean, I actually can connect with that because through the EOS language, you have the visionary and the integrator. For those that aren't familiar, visionary is the person that brings a vision. They're the idea person of the business usually, which I would say they're the chaos. They're the new frontier, but they're also all of the chaos that happens from that. And then the integrator is more of the order. They're the person who takes the vision and works with the team to implement or to create that vision and make it real. And one of the things I've realized is we've had a VP of operations for a while, and we've been working to get him into the integrator role. I actually just finished rocket fuel myself yesterday. I was audibling it while I'm reading it, and I'm like going back, like I was like studying the book, and so that was all yesterday, and it's amazing. I guess you could call it failure to launch because we tried to get this integrator for so long, and we even had a person to do it, which is kind of interesting. We had a person who's very intelligent to do it, but I didn't realize how much I didn't know about what I was trying to get them to do, right? And so I'm like, "Yo, you're the integrator," but like I didn't even know what that meant, right? And so after going through this process, it's been really instrumental for me because for the longest time I'm a visionary in our business, and I thrive at when my head's in the clouds. I can have my feet on the ground for a while, but eventually I get bored, and it's just not my zone of genius. And I feel like I've had to kind of walk with a limp on a lot of integrator type stuff, and a lot of that was because I don't know that I had a fear of letting go, but I didn't know how to, I think, is the bigger thing, right? It's like I didn't know how to. It's one thing to delegate a task. It's another to delegate systems. It's another to delegate ideas. Like that was a new exercise for me. And so it's interesting that kind of you mentioned that, because I can connect with the idea of lacking clarity in the business, and maybe not on the vision, right? I don't feel like I've ever lacked visionary clarity, but lacking like, okay, so I got these ideas. How do we make these real, right? It's a very different skill set. It's a very different task.
Yeah, I would say that most, it's kind of a sad state, but most visionaries' vision is never realized. We have all of these ideas and all these things we want to do, but we lack in the sort of execution or discipline or accountability part of that, or how to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
We have shorter attention spans, I think, than people that are high follow through. We're very visionary. We're very quick start. We our vision doesn't always get realized. And so it's a difficult thing to let go of that. I saw a quote the other day. I think it was Dan Martell. He said 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it is hard to let go of those tasks, but like anything else, EOS it's a framework. It's not, it's not magic. There's no silver
Right.
bullets. There's no magic beans. It's just simple, timeless concepts that are executed correctly and in a framework. So there's basically an answer to almost every problem that you have. There's a spot for it, and there's a way to handle